But I would like for us to take a moment to kind of go back and start from the beginning. So, how did you get into dance? And out of all the styles that you do, what was the first style that you started with?
The first style I started dancing, I could say, they call me, well, my mother say, look at that fool. When you're little running around, we used to run around, and I just did any style of dance. I don't know what it's called. I just seen people doing dances. You hear the music, you go up there, and when you're 5 or 6, you run around shaking your rump. We used to call it shaking your ashes. And you got to go run up there, shaking your ashes, run it up. And my mother would have guests and stuff, and they would play these different records. At that time, I'd say rhythm blues records, soul was coming, and rock and roll was in at the time. But a lot of the music would be playing, and that's why I like the jazz so much because my family loved Count Basie. My mother loved balladeer, mean a great vocalist to sing all these beautiful songs. And the most swingingest cat was named Brooke Benton. You know, he did "Oh Kitty, oh, don't you know?" He's all he get up on the stage and he watch television and he sings all these beautiful songs, and all the girls would go, "Oh, oh." I said, "Wow, God, he's just singing a song," you know. But I'd be a singer too. And then all of a sudden I see these dancers go up there, so I live around this because you got to remember that time, during the late '50s and '60s, it was the shimmy type of thing was happening. It was still up, and they called it the go-go. So, you know, now it's a different style. I mean, I learned this later when I was little. I was just shaking my ashes. She goes, and now that I'm doing vernacular dances, I learned. I said, "Boy, you can shake your ashes all so many ways." I didn't know. I didn't know that. You know. So now I teach shaking your ashes professionally. but 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 that professionally getting into the world of dance, I was not supposed to be a dancer. I am a filmmaker. I'm a filmmaker, a writer. I'm an artist. I do storyboards and everything else. And because everybody else is, all the kids would be out in the street playing, baseball and football. I ain't gonna be playing no football skinny as I am. I'm not gonna do that. And they said, my mother said, go out there and play with the rest of the kids. No, I'll stay in there and watch my cartoons. I still watch cartoons. And watch sci-fi and horror. And I love what comes out later night. These great musicals, these great. And I'm looking at, wow, look at these people. They're tapping and everything. And, like, and say Fred Astaire. So I said, man, I want to learn something like that. How come they don't do that? Because in those days, the dances were in the 60s were like, the swim, the pony, the jerk. What's that? The twist, peppermint twist. Okay, something like,
The mashed potato,
Oh yeah, it's a mashed potato. Okay, that's that is Barbara's. You're George Jefferson. I mean, those dances and those styles of dances were in, but everyone said, why don't you just do those type of dances? I said, no, I like that style. Going to film school at the age of 11, I was a film editor at 11. We had no digital, like none of this digital stuff they have right now. It was a machine called the Movie Ola. You take the film and you have to, like a sewing machine, and you have to actually take the film and splice it and stuff. And I learned it at a school named Barnsdale Park. And they taught us about roller cameras, development in the black bag with the feel, how to roll and set the camera up, all of that, all that stuff. And one time, this ballet company from Philadelphia came in, and they said, we need a documentary on them. So they called us. We was doing, and I was just looking at them and said, in order to do documentation, you have to experiment and experience, the actual subject at that time. So it was ballet. I said, oh, ballet's cool. I mean, I wouldn't see myself in no tights and nothing like that. I look like a black Q-tip or something. No, I mean, I said, oh, no. And so,
Not expecting that.
so this guy would say, hey, have you ever started dancing? I said, well, no. He said, do a little turn. He did a pirouette, and I did one or two. He said, pretty good. You should get into dance. I said, no, I want this style of dancing. He looked, and he saw these pictures of Fred Astaire, Bill Robinson, and stuff. I said, man, they don't do that no more. I said, what? They don't do that. I mean, the industry does not cater. They don't cater to it. And so that started me into being a researcher, looking for films, whatever books there was out of print on the vernacular style of dance. And I was reading up on all these great people. Not knowing where I live at in Los Angeles, we call Midtown. Midtown was essentially the location of Los Angeles when, after the people left Central Avenue, moved over. And a lot of stars would be in that. But I didn't know it at the time, with the Afro-American stars. It would be in there. And I would run into some of them. And I just didn't even know who they were, but I would they had a little job. I had a newspaper job, believe it or not. I had my little bicycle with the newspapers on the side. Throwing, yeah. And I went to this one gentleman's house and didn't know who he was. His name was Willie Coban. And if you don't know who Willie Coban, I didn't know who he was. Until, I didn't know until 25 years later. Now, I'm serious, but I'd be over his house. I just should have known something was different, but he was head of the four Covans, and he was the first Afro-American that started dancing in the MGM studios. They billed him a lot. His students were Eleanor Powell, Ann Miller, worked with all of these people, a lot of people, and they did, at that time, Afro-American dancers were used for sound foleying. If you had never heard of sound foleying, they would do the folding sounds. Pete Nugent would do, and Ted, those guys would do Me and My Shadow, me and my. Pete Nugent, and there would be the shadow behind them. But all these people, I would throw newspaper, Eddie Rochester Anderson, with the Jack Bennett, but I would just. So it didn't mean nothing to me then, until I go home and watch TV. I said, that guy looks familiar. So I'm trying to take the world of tap and jazz and all these different elements at that time. And I think professionally, really, it got me into it. So tap dancing would be the first art that I got into.
And who was your first teacher?
Well, during that time, okay. It was weird, okay. Like I was searching, and they said, you need to do jazz. Now, this is what, jazz, they said, this is what they go. Kick by chain, by the way. Hey, kick by chain, raise it up. Jazz hand. Okay. Hey, this is not what I was looking for. Now we're going to move into the tap section. That was not what I was looking for. But anyhow, regardless, I was trying my best. I was making do, and my friend, a young lady named Angela McIntosh, said, you got to go to this place called the Inner City Cultural Center. Now, this was the place where Afro-American, Hispanic, Asians would go, and actors would do all these movies. They had a youth division, and I went there. They had all these dance studios and stuff. Oh, man, this is cool. They said, this guy's in there teaching tap on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Oh, I'm going to go there with my tap shoes and ride over there and get up there. I go there. He wasn't there. Doors were locked. I said, what's going on? I said, man, I got false information. So I rode my bike back on there. And they're right there on Pico and Normandy. There's this guy trying to change his car tire, and nobody was helping him. Nobody was helping him. Cars just going by. I said, he's going to get hit. I said, let me go over and help him. I said, you need some help? He said, yeah, man. He said, so I parked my bike, and I got the wrench, and I was helping him and moving it. And he looked on my bicycle and saw my shoes sitting there. And he said, oh, you're a hoofer. I said, what? I thought he called me a hooker. You know, I said, no. He said, no. You know, hoofer. It means a dancer. I said, oh, really? He said, I used to dance. You know, you talk like, I used to tap dance. And he used to like reminiscing. Yes, I used to tap dance. I'm up here, it's a tire. Yeah, will you help me with this dance? So I'm putting it on. I put it on and get it on. And I said, okay, I did my good deeds. He pulled out a little card, and I looked at his name. I said, okay, nice. He said, you want to learn to dance. You got to want it. You search for it and go get it. Call me up. I'll give you some lessons. I'm going like, yeah, sure. So I just took off, did my good deed, and I'm gone. I'm still researching, trying to find out. And then all of a sudden, my mother said, you know, you're getting frustrated. I said, yeah, I'm trying to. Why don't you take that guy's offer up? I said, okay, I will. So I went over his house, knocked on the door. He opened the door. Yes, you made it, huh? I said, oh, he acted like he knew I was coming. You know what I was saying? Like that. Okay. I said, okay. I go in, and he said, okay. And he grabs the rug and go, okay, show me what you got. And I thought I was hot stuff. I said, stand back, I'm dangerous. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I know I'm hot. You don't have to say nothing. Oh, well, what do you think about that? He looked at me. He said, interesting. Try this. And he goes, pow! I said, and I looked at the floor. I looked at him. He looked at me. He looked at the floor. I looked at the floor again. We both looked at each other. I said, mine don't look like yours. She said, if you want it, you want to go for it. And he was thinking like, what makes you, why do you want to do this? And I said, no, I want it. It's a different type of dance. You know, and besides when you're a kid, you know, when you're a kid, that's the only style of dance you can make noise. Well, your parents get mad at you. So so I said, we became great friends. I went to, and come to find out, this was the same guy that I went to the class that wasn't there because he couldn't get there because of the car. I said, but I would go there Wednesday nights, 7 to about 1:30. We used to dance 7 hours and just dance. And all his friends was in there, you know, I mean, different. And I would look at all these friends, and all his friends who can tap. And I said, wow, who are these people? And I'm looking at them, they look so familiar, you know? And I'll be in there, I still remember his little, a box step, first step, box step, and heel. And he would let us move and I was working our hands, and he would do all this stuff. Then I said, I said, this guy is really good. With him 2.5 years. Then late at night, I turn on the TV set, and you know, guys have to remember this. This is in the late '60s, around '60s. Not many Afro-American movies and television were on. We were on it at that time, and all of a sudden there was this full-length, all-black musical. I said, "What? What is this?" You know, we used to seeing Fred Astaire and everything else, but Afro-Americans, and everyone can sing, and everyone can dance, and everyone. I was like, this is mind blowing. My mind was like, whoa, you know. And they had all these guys, and there's the guy in there with to play with Shirley Temple, Bill Bojangles, Robinson. Everybody's going. I'm going, woo! I said, this is a great movie. At the end of the movie, these two guys come flying out. They're flipping and doing all kinds of stuff. And they go down these set of stairs doing splits. Kataya, 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 kataya. I'm going, ooh. I said, wow. I said, this is something else. And I told my friends the next day, you know, I saw this great movie on TV, and they said, man, you jive. There ain't no black people on TV. I said, there was. I saw black people on television. Nobody believed me. This went on for days. I got back to the tap class, and I talked to my teacher. He said, you look disgusted. No, I've seen this film, and nobody's seen it, and it wasn't in the TV guide, and nobody He said, what was it? He said, well, and I described it to him. He said, oh, wait a minute. And he pulled out these photographs, these 8x10s. And I'm over there. I said, oh, look, there's the hidey ho guy. Ooh, there's that, you know, one never knows, do one guy, you know. And then, you know, there's the guy with Bill Robinson. And I look down, I said, oh, there's you. And that was Bayard Nicholas of the Nicholas Brothers. And from there on, that was my first form. He gave me my first job, too.
And that was my next question. What was your first job once you trained with Bayard? And it was 2.5 years, you said, right?
Yeah, I was training with 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. And sometime within those years, I would work, you know, and I would do the routines. We had a set routine that we call exercise rudiments. And he had set exercise where we move our bodies and stuff. He said, listening to the music and singing, and he would always sing. And the people we had in the class, he would say, okay, Chester, I'm leaving town. I'll be gone for a week. I want you to take over next week's class. I said, me? He said, yeah, come on, just do this. Do the routine, make sure everybody has it. Now, look at this. Now, how in the hell I'm going to teach? All his friends can out-dance me like crazy. They're all, and he left me in their hands. And they all looking at me like, okay, Chester, what we gonna do? I'm like, okay, do some of those hickey-dickies and jiggle-booms and 3Ds, twirly-whirlies, and then we're gonna go like that. And I had to come up with the routine. But every day, he wasn't gone for a week. He was gone for about 6 weeks. I was making up routines like every day, and it had to have rhythm. But it forced me to really, I mean, you know, go in there. And I could proudly say in my resume who I taught. You know, guess who was in the classroom? Donald O'Connor.
Wow.
From Singing in the Rain.
Wow.
Donald O'Connor, Eleanor Powell.
Wow.
U.S. Or his name was called Argalia Thompson. He was the grandson of the great U.S. Ulysses Thompson, the guy in the 1800s did the soft shoe. Mm-hmm. These are old, and they took their time with me. Said, "Go ahead, just touch it. That's a nice step, but why don't you try it like this?" And I was looking at it. Okay, well, do it like that then. Yeah, that. I meant to do it like that. Yes, that's good. You got it. You're a good student. Yeah, and so, yeah, but that's they got me started, and Bayard got me. Started with other tap teachers. You know, that was the throw around kid. Because after Bayard grabbed me and said, boom, he sent me to Clarence Landry Frenchie, head of the hi-hatters. And I said, who's this guy? He's a tap dancer. Oh, you're kidding. He's in a cleaners. He was doing clothes. He was a tailor, and he did all these clothes. And hey, Clarence, take him. What? Throw me in there. And you know how you steam the clothes, and it goes on those little belts. He had a tap floor right in the middle. And it would go, and the clothes would go around. He said, come on out here. I said, I'm looking at the clothes. I like that suit. And we go in over combination, and he taught me the BS course. That's where I learned the BS course with Frenchie. And then Frenchie introduced me to Esmond Mosby. Esmond Mosby taught me eccentric comedy dancing, how to take hard steps and make them into eccentric comedy dancers. And he was the creator of a dance group called the Three Chocolatiers. The Three Chocolatiers was the first Afro-American group that went to China and introduced jazz through China, besides the other gentleman in Count Basie's band, Buck Clayton, the trumpeter, went there. And that's how China had their, did you guys know China had their own cotton club? Nobody, everybody knew, yes they did. And in San Francisco, copies from them, and the place was called the Forbidden City. Look it up, I'm telling you.
Wow, that's amazing. And so let's jump a little bit more forward into your career. So now you studied from all of these amazing legends, and then from there, when did you get into choreographing and creating work? And then can you just give us, because you worked across the spectrum, you worked in film, you worked on live stage, you worked in TV, so let's start with
I even worked as a janitor.
Oh, okay.
I did.
Okay, I believe you.
Yeah, I did. I worked as a janitor. I was an electrician.
Wow.
I was a plumber. And that's how got me through college.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was tap dancing all in the through underneath the tunnels.
Wow.
That's how they could find me. Chester's down there.
So you studied. So you studied with these legends up until what age? And then at what age did your career take off as?
It took off around.
How old were you when you left?
The States, or just in the business when I got into it.
Yeah, when you got into it.
I was in the business around 18, 19.
Wow.
But internationally, it was 21 years old. And that's when I started to have a dance company at that time.
And what was the name of your company?
The Black Ballet Jazz, the first Afro-American dance vernacular group that traveled the world, went around 28 times around the world in a 15-year span. And it was marked because a gentleman, Irwin Parnes, saw me, and he said, have you ever danced in a group? At that time, all the groups were like the American Ballet Company, where Baryshnikov had DeJoffrey, Alvin Ailey. And I never did think of having a company. I was just doing my dancing because I was running around the city dancing and teaching and doing all kinds of stuff. And he said, you should have your own company. But the problem was, how many people does vernacular jazz? And nobody was doing that except I was. So what I had to do is find out, teaching people who had an interest in it. And I had took people off the street that liked to dance and start teaching. They said, why are we learning this stuff? I said, just do it. Just do it. You're gonna, it's gonna. And the gentleman's name was Irwin Parnes, and he said, let's create a company that's dedicated to jazz history. And we did it in a year. I did it in a year and a half, less than a year and a half. We did 33 dance numbers back to back, 2 hours and 17-minute show. West African, Congo Square, Fad Dances. We did Cakewalk. We did Tin Pan Alley. We talked about even the Gospels, ring shouts, ring dances. We did down south camp meetings. Oh God, we did ham bone. I mean, we went all through the decades, from to swing to Charleston to bebop to rebop to rock and roll, go-go, jazz, all the way up to hip hop, and all of it. And that got us around the world. We were ambassadors of the United States for that. We had the Golden Key of Greece. We went to Hong Kong. We went to China. We went to Korea, Taiwan. A lot of places.
That's incredible. And so that was the span of 15 years. And then how did you transition, or not transition, because I think you did it all simultaneously, but when did you get your foot into the commercial scene?
That was funny.
And how did it happen? And yes, just share all of this.
Oh, God. Okay.
Let's start with your first introduction into
television. Okay.
Or film, or wherever you want to begin.
I was dancing. Now, it was during that period of time, we had commercials, a lot of commercials. Not like the commercials you guys have now. They used to actually have cigarette commercials. Then they banned the cigarette commercials. They had the beer commercials, and some of them still, now they just the wine commercials, and the beer and the cigarettes, they don't do. I was dancing and doing stuff. I think I did a L&M commercial, the cigarette L&M. The guy said, "You look good. I want you to do a commercial. And you're gonna play a blues singer. Play a guitar." What? Play a guitar. Sit there. And they had a band there, and I want you to sit there and light this cigarette. and I was moving, dancing and stuff. He said, "L&M, go out in, goes in smooth, come out smooth." And I said, I said, okay. The guys didn't know I didn't smoke. So I'm up there trying to say this line with this cigarette. And I'm going. And the band's all cool with me, and I'm like, yeah. And goes in smooth and comes out smooth. That's what it's supposed to be. I said, comes in smooth, goes out smooth. Take 22. My eyes are red. Get this guy out. Next commercial was, I'm telling you the truth.
So it never happened.
No. I'm telling you, you asked me my first. I'm telling you, I've done everything.
I thought in the end you finally succeeded, but
no.
It never, okay.
Next commercial is a beer commercial. It was Bud Light. And you probably saw it. Now that one did get air, but that one was like, I don't know if you've seen the Bud Lights with all the ants, and they dragged the bottle, and they couldn't get into the ant hole. And then they said, I got a better idea. One ant goes in and gets a can opener, click, and it just drained the whole ant farm, and all the ants come out drunk. Well, the same director of that called me and said, Chester, I need you to be a Martian. I said, what? A Martian? Okay, because I was a skinny enough guy, and they had these little tight suits. I was one of the Martians with big eyes like this. And the commercial was this farmer in a cornfield late at night, and you hear this like flying stuff, and it lands in the cornfield, and he hears the noise. He says, what's going on? And it's nighttime. He has his shotgun. Ding, 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 and he opens it up. And there's about 3-4 of us in a ship, and we're going, ding, 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 there we go. And look at him. He looks at us with the flashlight. It was just us. Ding, 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 ding. And then we go like this, hand him a can of Bud Light. And then he goes, yeah. Ding, ding. And he's up there. Ding, ding. That was my first commercial.
Amazing.
I got in there. But the main guy that got me in was Jay Levy and Hamilton Cloud. And that was the era of music videos. The music videos came out, and I was choreographing. I said, every choreographer wanted to get their name on a music video. And a friend of mine said, hey, a friend of mine, you need to come down to the office. And it was Weird Al Yankovic. Real comedian. And he would, if you don't know who he is, he's a comedian. He takes songs and makes satires off of rap songs, and he just make it just silly, but he's made a lot of money. And so he finally got a big contract for 20th Century Fox, and the movie was called Johnny Dangerously with Michael Keaton. And we needed to have an original song. And they called me in, and he said, I heard you create stuff, and you can do this dance. But they didn't have the budget was already taken up. And then I said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll do the choreography. And the guy said, but I would definitely give you big publicity, and I would boom your name all across, which he did. The company did. I had billing, at the end of a music video that says the artist's name, director's name, record company's name, on the end of I had my name right there next to the director. Boom, 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 boom. And so I said, okay, I did it. So I taught Weird Al how to dance. It was a Rowan twin. He said, it was called This Is the Life. I mean, they have it here in Herrang. They showed it once or twice. And everybody was looking and said, who's that? They didn't know, see me. My hair was black. But, but we did it, and it became a great success in the industry. And then my phone started to ring like, bam, who did the choreography? Boom, boom, boom. I had Rick James call. I did Rick James video. I've done Tina Marie. I've done the Commodores. I've done a group. Some of these groups you might not know. Y'all too young. Boys to Men, Soul to Soul. God, there's so many people. I did Britney Spears. I worked with Britney Spears. I worked with what's that? Michael Jackson, of course. I did his stuff. I was one of the 8 choreographers that did Smooth Criminals on that. You know, when he grabbed the ball and crushed the gangster, throw it in his head and taught Michael how to flip. Did worked on Escapades. That was Michael Kitt, famous choreographer. I was assisting underneath Michael Kitt. And then I did All Right with Janet Jackson. That one. And she but that was my second time. I said, Janet, you don't remember me? She said, no. I said, 1977. You were real little. And that's when me and Fayard did the Jackson 5 special, TV special. And they had 5 specials. We were on the 5th special, the Nicholas Brothers with the Jackson 5. And we did 2 weeks teaching them how to tap. They did, BS course and all that other stuff. And that's how Michael learned how to do the toe stands. All of that. Yeah. Then she said, I know you. I said, yep. I had you. Then I was doing that time. I was the only choreographer in the 80s, all the way to the 90s for 10 years straight. They had 5 major television variety shows. I done NAACP Image Award Show. I got it nationally syndicated. I had the Miss Collegiate Afro-American Pageant. I had Stomp. I had the Soul of American Music. All of those guys. And I did Dick Clark's New Year's Rock'em Sock'em New Year's Eve. So I did all this. And I was the only choreographer at that time they had contracted to do not only the choreography, but work on each artist's act and modify it and do all the camera angles. I had a contract. Because sometimes you have an act and they just shoot anything, and then you might miss something with this editing. So I had all the cameramen would come 3 days and had to have dance rehearsal with the cameras to catch everything. And so.
Wow, incredible. And let's talk about your musical side for a little bit. You have a 40-piece orchestra.
86.
Oh, it's now 86. The last I heard it was 40.
No,
let's talk about this.
I work as an artist under the director of jazz. His name was Kenny Burrell, jazz guitarist, and he hired me to come in, and I would stage all his stuff. And I was into music, and I would be his historian. And all the students were there. We had students from each department, and they have a symphonic orchestra. So we get them all together, and we pull out the original scores. And we have done several musical components. The movie called the Italian Job, where they stole all the gold and stuff, and they go underneath the ground. And we did atmosphere, the action atmosphere, and driving around and stuff. So I worked on that with him, and then we also did in conjunction with Steven Spielberg. I don't know, it was a cartoon. I don't know what you guys get it out here. It's called Animaniacs. So we did all the cartoon music. Don't crash stuff. This is like that.
Amazing. There's so many sides to you, and then you're also a very high accomplished martial artist. Can you talk to us about that? You have a black belt in which style of martial arts?
I have a black belt in Okinawa karate. I was one of the first generation dynasty of Gichi Yamaguchi's Goju-ryu, go to Jerusalem from the island of Okinawa, which went to Japan, then left Japan, went to Hawaii, and then left Hawaii and went to Los Angeles. And matter of fact, they landed in a black community. It's funny. Ding, right there. And I got into martial arts at the age of 14. Up there, because I was running away from the bullies. I had a fast mouth. You know what I'm saying? Don't say nothing, Barbara. But you were thinking it.
And how did you balance all of this? Music, dance, martial arts, because you excelled in all of them. It wasn't like you were just doing these as hobbies. You reached high levels in each field. So how were you able to traverse all of these different worlds but still get to such a high level and understanding?
Well, I learned one thing is to, you know, you got to progress, and he say 7 days a week. So I had to dedicate myself, and this day is going to be dedicated to dance. This day is going to be my study. And each day had to be a day of, I'm going to study this film. I got to lock this film in. I had to do that, and how much time I'm going to continue to learn. And the people that I was fortunate to be around me to teach this. Every time they taught me something, I would execute it and train in it. And I'd say, well, I'm going to see how this works in my project. The same way I do the music, I do the same way in the dance, the same way I do it in the martial arts. To me, the martial arts and the dance is similar because it's dealing with movement. One has a different intention. One is for entertainment value. The other is a self-defense value, and understanding how to move differently, different energy, different things. To me, the energy is good in Lindy Hop because we're dealing with a partnership, and we should be able to change energies in the middle of emotion. The balance and rhythms of tap is the balance within that. How much sound I can make. My ear have to hear certain things. So I combine them all in elements. When I see things, I listen to things, I look at things a little bit different. I go, that's interesting. Let's try this like this. All of them will marriage in and out sometime or other, you know. And so I had to look at the movement, look at the images. I still kept my artwork together, which comes in handy because I do storyboard, which helps with the cameraman. So when I explain with for the director or the cameraman, I said, here's a storyboard. And we can look at certain things. I can go in a room and just look at the room and say, okay, we're gonna shoot it like this. Boom, 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 boom. Get it? Because I have to, what do you say, third eye it. You have to project yourself outside to see what the audience is seeing. You know, film, I'm doing choreography for you sitting there. I have to change movements. Not here, I change the people's body movements so you can see what's happening here or backward here. That's what I do. Cameras, the camera can go places the regular theater can't go. So it can move. I can have a serious thing and shoot it through the legs and come back and catch another guy leaping over here. So you're catching movement with movement and the rhythms of it. So you have to think that type of direction.
Amazing. So the last thing that I want to touch on before we open it out to the audience for questions, I want to talk about my relationship with Chester and how I met him. I started at a dance studio called Universal Dance Designs in Los Angeles under the direction of Paul and Erling Kennedy. And this duo, they're a brother and sister duo, and they kind of produced, I don't know, an army of professional tap dancers.
They are part of a generation of incredible, talented dancers. At that time, tap dancing was, like I said, it was dormant. They were on a mission to preserve the dance form and give it to some new generations of people. And this person definitely was a soldier, you know, in that army. And they had a lot of them, and they produced a lot of them. And she was definitely one. And like people proceeding to go further, this one is one of the ones. So you guys are very blessed to have her. I'm just letting you know.
And the thing is, there's so many dancers from that studio whose names you'll never know, but, you know, could have easily had these amazing careers in the arts. but for whatever reason, life, you know, took them away from the dance. But Chester's presence at the studio definitely impacted myself and my brother in a very special way. I think I was 13, and he came in and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna put this number on you guys." So we're like, "Okay." And up until this point, we were really mainly dancing tap dance. We had to take ballet and we had to take hip hop classes and other styles, but our performance, we were a tap company and we traveled all over. We went to Cuba, you know, we traveled all over the States. So we were a professional tap dance company. And Chester comes in, he's like, "All right, here we go. Girls, you're gonna do this. And then guys, you're gonna do this. And you're gonna do," and he taught this amazing, incredible production to Sing Sing Sing. And we did it because that's what we did as kids. Didn't know what we were doing. I had no idea. I thought this is how you danced without tap shoes because it was just like so similar to tap. It was the same music, but I didn't know. Fast forward to 2008. I'm 25 now, so I was 13 then, right? 25 now. My brother was already at this festival through Chester teaching. He couldn't go, and he's like, "Joe, go learn, you know, look around, learn everything you can." And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna do my thing. I'm gonna teach. But I happened to watch a couple classes, and I was like, I know what that is. This is what Chester taught us way back then. And then that's when I started to put two and two together, that what he had taught us was vernacular jazz and Lindy Hop. But I didn't know that when I was 13. We just did the moves. We just did the choreography. And so you were actually my first introduction to this wonderful world without me even knowing it until I came to this camp. And hopefully, you know, all the footage from these numbers that Chester put on, that our teacher choreographed, they're all on VHS. So I'm going to, this year, do my best to find them and convert them so that we can have them here to show.
Oh, you gotta see them.
You'll see my brother, Joseph, and a few other incredible tap dancers. Sarah Reich, I don't know if you know about her, Dormisha Sembry Edwards, Derek Grant. They were all dancers who started at this studio.
Yeah, well, I mean, monsters. So I'm talking about jewels. If you guys want to learn it, I mean, that's it. I mean, we did some crazy stuff. Like I said, her brother and we'd hang out. We're gonna hang out tonight with Chester today, and was it Christopher?
Yeah, Christopher.
Christopher, and I said,
and
okay.
Brittany.
Brittany, I said, okay, get in the back of the car. Boom. We're going out. Okay, we're just going out. Bye. We go to the nightclub. They said, you can't get these kids to no nightclubs. You know, they're driving to the nightclub. I said, okay, we got a good gig. What? We're gonna make us some money tonight. What? So Chester, shut up. We're gonna make some money tonight.
and our parents trusted him completely, right? They didn't know it was a nightclub, of course, right? Of course they didn't know that. So I'm just letting you know, our parents were not like, go with Chester to the nightclub. They didn't know that that's what was happening.
And the guy comes in and says, you got the entertainers? I got the entertainers. I got some great entertainers. Yeah, okay, they look. They're kids. You can't have Chester. You can't have no kids in this place. I said, they're not kids. They're entertainers. You know, and you know who one of the doormen that vouched to me for me? Oh, Chester's good. He's going to bring you some great. Guess who it was? Peter Loggins.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Peter was like, Chester, we're going to get fired. I said, oh, man, be quiet. This is going to be good. We're going to do this. Come on, man. And we go in there, and the man said, no, they're going to go to the bar. These kids are not going to go. They ain't going to no bar. They don't want none of that stuff. We're going to go out and do our thing. The man was just complaining. I said, put the music on, put the music on. You're going to play. I said, hold him there. And I said, go. And everybody turned around. What's going on? They said, they were gone, boy. And everybody's going. Dollar bills thrown. I said, yeah, keep it going. Make it rain. And boy, they got you. We ran out. I said, it's time to go home now. We got to go. We run into the car. The man said, hey, man, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You got to bring them back. You come out. No, man, they're too young. You just, too young, man. They just said, But the guy wanted them back. Every word spread around, and every place they would go, they would just tear up the place. But it was part of. I mean, it was a part of a process. You learn stuff in your classes, and you got to execute it. Then you got to execute what comes out of you to see what comes out, what's going to work, what's not going to work, and when you demonstrate it on a live audience right there, and you see what you got and know what you got. If you're a singer, dancer, or whatever you are, it expels. It comes out. And these kids were like, they had the whole Miss Arlene Kennedy and they expelled it. It's not just the dancing. It was like boom, personality, your whole thing. They just came out exhort, and that's what we need now. If we're going to even the younger generation we have now, we have to insert that inside them too. If we want this art form to perpetuate and move forward, you know.
So thank you, Chester, personally, just for what you've done in my life, what you've done in my brother's life, and so many other dancers at that studio, and all of the people that you encounter here on a daily basis. So we just want to thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions in the audience? We have like 5 more minutes for any questions.
That sounds good.
Why did you come to Herräng? Why did you come to Herräng?
I was kidnapped. No. No. I got to Herräng, believe it or not. I was performing, and there was a gentleman named Rob Van Herren, great dancer, Lindy Hopper, and he had the head of Herräng. Herräng was happening, being what Frankie Manning, Al Mims was coming through here, and a lot of the great ones. And Rob and Leonard were very good close, and he came to the States, and he was doing a show. And the band didn't come through for Rob. They didn't have, so he called me up and said, "I'll bring the band down." I got the band down. He said, "I need an MC." "I'll get the MC. Don't worry about it." And he said, "I'll get that to you, though." Cause I walked up, so and I got up there and I was going, "Oh, ladies and gentlemen," I was the MC. And then I got up there and did the MC. Boom. Then I conducted the band. Then I run up and I started dancing. He said, "Oh, everything all in one." He said, "Bam." So Leonard said, "Who is this guy?" he was like trying to scratch it, and Frankie was going, "What the hell?" Like, now you got to remember, I knew Norma more than Frankie, but I knew about Frankie, you know. And Frankie and Chaz was like, "Who in the heck is this guy? He does it all." And they started to talk. And then when I went to London, I met Leonard, and he asked me, "I want you to come to Herräng and see what you think about it. I want you to teach." I said, "Okay, no problem." He read my background with Leonard Reed and the different people. And I came down here and I saw it at the camp, and it was great. It was great. A lot of great dancers, and got a chance to meet other vernacular forms of dancers that was good. And I said, "This is good. This is good." Right up there. Good music, good teachers, and everything. Of course, I don't think the original teachers were too used to me at that time because, I would run all through the rooms. Frankie, let's go. Oh well, and 5, 6, he didn't care, and the other teachers said, and they would tell Leonard, "That guy, Chester, you gotta stop him. He's crazy. He's running all up and down." I said, "Hey, I got an idea. We're gonna do this." I would run up to the tool shed and just making people just do something else. Do it. And they, doing practical jokes on people and they knew they was gonna get me in trouble. They just said, "Leonard wants to see you in his office." I said, "Okay." So I walk in, and these guys were outside. The teachers were mad at me, like, "Oh, he's going to get it now." I said, "Oh man," and he said, "Leonard, those who know Leonard is very comical. He has the blah blah's face, And I knock on the door, toot, "Come in." And I walk in, toot, "Have a seat." I said, "And see here, Chester, you've been going around doing crazy stuff. Did you throw the water balloon at that girl in the room? Yep, I did. Yeah, I see. Did you do the thing that Tool said and knock the ladder down when so? Yes, I did. And you ran through, what's your name, through focus cells up in the room and ran into the bar. Did you do that? Yes, yeah, I have to admit, Leonard, I did do that. He said, keep up the good work. You know, Leonard just felt that we wanted to have a spice. It's not a, if you were just coming to a camp or a school, just strictly dance, you just come strictly dance, you dance, dance, dance. Boom. No, you come in here to learn the art of dance. It's the whole art. It's about the joy of the dance. It's the whole thing. It's not just only the steps. It's what you put in the steps and what the steps is about. The whole culture, the whole history of it. It's that type of thing, you know, and that's what Frankie would did. You know, that's Don was here. That's what Barbara and them, you know, even though they beat the hell out of me this morning. But anyhow, because, but, I mean, and I felt that. That was with intention. Oh, ooh, okay, you know, but anyhow. But, you know, it's the fact is, I was just sharing what I'm about, my experience in the world of dance. I like having fun. Why do it if I'm not going to have no fun? 'Cause that's just me. You know, there's different shades of the music, different shades of the dance. Some of it's dramatic, some is tragedy, some is this. But if you learn the element of each one and how you can control it in your dance, in your swing outs, in your rhythm, or your tap, I mean, that's the world of dance. Dance is universal. It's many dimensions, and it keeps going. It keeps going. The object is to understand it and understand what you got to do with it.
I think we're good. Are there any more questions? Any pressing questions? Oh, yes. Mhm.
No, I mean, I had good parents. No, they were good. They, whatever. I mean, I did do things they did not know, but then later on they found out. They said, "Oh, long as I was not stealing nothing or being robbing nothing, you know," but then when they saw, "Oh, you're dancing," they were shocked, like, "Wow," or you playing music, they were like, "Wow." Yeah, but after they saw that, they were like very supportive. I'm like, "No, go, do it. Do what you got to do and make it happen." Um, of course, in high school, you're gonna have peer pressure for some of your friends. And I understand that question because sometime in high school, I really um, thought that being around all my friends, I said, "Oh, they're going places I might not be going nowhere." Blah 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 blah. I'm thinking myself that, boom. But then there's another side of me inside of my back of my head saying, I have a stubborn side in the back of my head saying, "No, you're just gonna keep doing. If you like what you're doing, do it." I don't do it because I don't I don't look for no uh, what you call it license from somebody else. That, "Oh, it's good. I mean, if you give it to me, yeah, thank you." But the fact is, I did it to please myself to see if I can do it, and it feels good to know that you have succeeded to do something like that. So in high school, I was pushing for it, and then my family saw it. So when you're pushing for it and going, others start to look and say, "Yeah, that's good." I used to clown around and say, "I'm gonna see the world." It's so real. I'm going, "Oh, Chester, you're so silly." Those same people are knocking on the door. "Can I buy a ticket?"
Amazing. And for me, I dance found me. It wasn't something that I went out looking for. I wanted to do gymnastics or ice skating, but my parents couldn't find centers near our home that facilitated that. So my mom's best friend suggested dance, and I was like, dance? No thanks, I'm good. And so she's like, no, just try it, you know. Adrian was my friend, her best friend's daughter. She's like, Adrian's doing it, just go a couple classes and see. So I went and I watched all of the styles, and I was like, no, 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 no. But then I heard the sound of tap dance, and then I went into the room, and I didn't know what it was, but it just looked so exciting. It was so, I was a tomboy, so I did track, you know, I was like very athletic because of my older siblings. They were into sports. And so I was like, this looks something that's a little bit more sporty. I think I want to do that. And by the end of the class, I was like, Mom, whatever this is, sign me up for this. And she's like, okay. And so I took one class, and Paul Kennedy, he's a character. He's larger than life, and he called all the ladies Lulu or Mary.
That's right.
And all the guys were Harry.
Harry, that's right. That's right. That's right.
So I'm standing there, my 12-year-old self, you know, and I'm like, trying to do these paddles. And he's like, what's wrong with you, Mary? And I'm like, who's Mary? He's like, I'm Josette. And then I do it. He's like, Lulu, start again. And I'm like, what in the world? So I was like, Mom, I'm never going back. After my first class, I was like, this man's crazy. I don't know what's going on. He's calling me Lulu. He's calling me Mary. Da, 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 da. My mom was like, well, I paid for the month. Just do 1 month. And then if you don't want to do it, you don't have to after that. And so by the second, third class, I was hooked. And I was like, no, this is the greatest thing. Once I understood that was his personality, and I got used to it. And he ended up bringing me out of the shell because I was more introverted. And he kind of helped me find myself, find who I was. And then my brother didn't want to take the class because it was all girls in this beginning class. But he would come with my mom to pick me up and learn a step at the end of my class. So Mr. Kennedy would walk over and like, do this, and then he would go home and practice this step all week and come back and show my teacher at the end of my class, right? So a couple of months go by like this, and he's like, okay, both of you come to Saturday's advanced group. And I was like, wait, I'm the one in class. I've been doing the work. He just comes at the end of class, and now he gets to go to the events. But my brother is a natural at everything he did. He, at 3 years old, he was like playing basketball so well, baseball, tag, like anything he tried, he excelled at, right? So this was it. This was another thing as well. He tried this and excelled. So he didn't even need to take a beginner's class. He just learned a couple steps at the end of each class. We got promoted to the kids group, and then that's kind of what opened our eyes. And for me, it wasn't necessarily a career choice. It was something that I loved and I was passionate about, but every decision I made in my life was pointed in this direction. I went to a performing arts high school where I was in the musical theater, the dance department, taking music classes, right? So everything that I did kind of guided me in this way. But I always had in the back of my mind that I would like be a professional in some other thing, like journalism, or, you know, like I always had these other things. I started a coffee business. Like I had these other things that pulled me away. Not really, but that I was interested in, but tap was always the forefront. And at 24, 25, I finally just surrendered and said, okay, this is who I am. This is what I do. And I embraced it. And that was kind of the trajectory. Once I made that switch in my mind that this is who I am, I'm a tap dancer and I'm a professional tap dancer, then that's when my career just kind of became what it is.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chester Whitmore, for
thank
sharing with us.
Well, thank you.
I've learned many new things today. I thought I knew you, but now I realize I didn't know you all the way. But thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us today as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.